Hello everyone. Today's topic or discussion will be graph of a quadratic expression. So this is a fairly easy topic and a very conceptual topic. So please be very attentive when I speak about these concepts so that you do not miss out on anything. So let's begin. So the first thing that we need to understand is that we'll again consider the quadratic expression ax squared plus bx plus c is equal to 0. And the conditions, what are the conditions of a quadratic expression? So that is basically that a cannot be equal to 0 and b and c belongs to the set of real numbers. So these are the conditions that are normally applicable when we consider a quadratic expression. So now what happens? So as you can see, this entire thing we can write it down as y is equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. We can write it down in this format, and this ax squared plus bx plus c, it is basically nothing but basically denotes a parabola. So now parabolas are basically of, it may be either having its axis along the y-axis or it may be having its axis along the x-axis. So what is the shape that will be taken over here? So as you can see over here, the square term is basically lying with the x. So in that case, if the square term lies with x, so that basically means that its axis is basically the y-axis. Y-axis, or basically it may not be always the y-axis, it may be some line which is parallel to the y-axis also. So it may be that parallel to the y-axis. So these are the conditions which are applicable, and these are the basic conceptual conclusions that we can derive from the expression. So these are the things. Now one more thing that you need to know is that so we have understood that this is basically parabola, and the its axis is either parallel to the y-axis or it may be the y-axis itself. So what happens when suppose, and also another concept that you need to keep in mind is we consider the discriminant is equal to b square minus 4ac, and if d is greater than 0, in that case, if d is greater than 0, only in that case, or we can say that if d is greater than or equal to 0, only in that case we have roots, real roots I mean, and if we have d less than 0, in that case we have only imaginary roots. So that is one more thing that you need to keep in mind. So let's proceed. So suppose now a is greater than 0 and also b is greater than 0. So this implies, so if a is greater than 0, that will imply that the parabola is opening upwards, okay, and if d is greater than 0, that means that it intersects the x-axis twice. So the graph will basically look something like this. So if this is the y-axis and this is the x-axis, okay. So basically we are not considering that where the y-axis will lie for certain. So for that we cannot say that whether y-axis is the axis or some line parallel to the y-axis is the axis. So we just consider the x-axis line, and I have already said that if a is greater than 0, then the parabola opens upwards. So that will give us a graph of this kind. So this is basically, and here are the two roots, and this is the x-axis. So this is the graph of this condition. Now if we have a is less than 0, so what happens when a is less than 0? So if a is, or let me rub it out. So if a is less than 0, what happens? A is less than 0 and b is greater than 0. So that again means that we have two roots and a is less than 0. So if a is less than 0, that will imply that the curve opens downwards. So the curve will look somewhat like this. So this will be the curve for a less than 0 and d is greater than 0. So these are the curves. Now what happens when d is equal to 0? So now if we have a is greater than 0 and d is equal to 0, so basically if this is the y-axis, if this is the x-axis, then we have the parabola opening upwards, and since d is equal to 0, that means that both the roots are equal. So both the roots are equal, it means that it will touch the x-axis once. So that will give us a curve of this format, and the point where it touches the x-axis, that is the root. And what happens when a is less than 0? So what happens when a is less than 0 and d is equal to 0. So what happens over there? In that case, it is a similar thing, only it will invert downwards, and this is the format that we observe. So this is the format that we are observing over here. So the next case that we'll try to concentrate on is that what happens when a is greater than 0 and d is less than 0. So suppose if this is the x-axis, so d is less than 0, that means that there are no real roots. So if there are no real roots, it neither touches nor intersects the x-axis. It will be somewhere above, and since a is greater than 0, so it will open upwards. So the graph will look somewhat like this. So this is the graph for a greater than 0 and d is less than 0. And what happens when a is less than 0 and d is also less than 0? The same thing which happened as in the early case. So that in that case, what will happen is that the curve will be inverted like this, but it will not intersect the x-axis. So this is the concepts which are applicable depending upon the value of a and the value of the discriminant. So these are the various kind of graphs that you can create of a quadratic expression. So I hope that the concepts which are associated are very much clear to you, and in case you want further clarification regarding the same, then you can comment in the comment section below and we'll try to get back to you. So I hope your preparation for the exams are going very well, and if you have any other problems regarding, or you need some advice regarding stuff, then you can contact us in the comment section and we'll try to get back. We'll try to help you as much as possible. So thank you for watching this video. We'll be back soon enough. Thank you very much.